Shalom, it's the time, hit the mic, realign, Torah flow so divine, got the grind by design, from the shtetl to the limelight, stars in the scene, schmoozing pride, bringing dreams, keep it kosher clean, schmoozing time, where the real ones meet, Jewish pride, beats hit, can't retreat, personal brands leveled up, take the stage, schmoozing vibe, wisdom out the cage.
Hey Schmoozers, welcome back to the show. And if this is your first time tuning in, my name is David Cobby, and I'm so happy that you are with us today. We've got a great episode coming your way, and I genuinely appreciate that you are here spending a part of your busy day with us. It really means a lot to me. If you haven't yet, make sure to hit that follow button on whatever platform you are listening to this episode on so that you'll never miss another episode. Now, let me just say this up front. If you care at all about your personal brand, how people perceive you, how you show up in the world, how you grow your influence, this episode is going to be absolutely game changer for you. We are going to dive into personal branding topics that have never been discussed on this podcast before. This week's episode is going to be all about personal branding and how you build a top-notch brand for yourself. And the person joining us this week happens to be an absolute expert in personal branding with over 20 years of talking about the topic long before it became popular. She's the CEO and founder of The Human Factor, author of the Super Connectors Playbook, and an internationally recognized speaker who has taken the stage in over 20 countries. With a passion for people, marketing, innovation, and travel, she's got an incredible amount of knowledge to share with you today about building a personal brand. Please welcome to the show, Lirone Glikman. Lirone, how are we doing today?
Hi, David. Thank you for this intro, and I'm so excited to be here with you finally.
Lirone, I'm more excited, and I wanted to save this part for the episode. I didn't tell you about this. So I think 6 months ago, here's a little story about me before we jump into you. 6 months ago, I actually reached out to Lirone, and I don't think I got a response from her, which is okay, fine, whatever. We're here now. It doesn't matter. But I was like, you know what? I saw Lirone, and I'm like, she's an expert in personal branding. She happens to be Jewish. I'm like, this would be a great person to come on the podcast. Fast forward, 3 months later, I'm taking this course called Ellie, which, by the way, all of you should check it out. Entrepreneurship Leadership Israel. Shout out Avivid Ohana.
Sure.
It is an amazing, amazing course. And who happens to be speaking? Lirone Glikman. Ask great questions. Now we're here now. So moral of the story is that if you try and connect with somebody, they don't reach out to you, they're probably busy, but they may show up later. So you really never know. And I think it's kind of like a testament to what you speak on and connecting with people and how to build a great network. So I think that was just like a little fun story to share.
Where did you try to, was it through LinkedIn, like DM?
I think I tried LinkedIn and Instagram, maybe. I don't know. One of the two. Those
We're going to check that. Usually, I'm trying to be as responsive as I can, but we need to check that. However, I'm so happy that, the universe brought us together because sometimes when people need to meet, eventually they meet. So thanks for this story. I haven't heard about it before. And we're going to investigate on it.
Okay, maybe it was just Instagram because I feel like LinkedIn, you probably would have seen it. But either way, we're here now. We're here to schmooze. We're here to talk about you, Lirone. I think first question for you, and maybe this is like a too broad of a question, but we're both Jewish. We're both proud to be Jewish. And personal branding, which we're going to talk about the rest of the episode, is a big part of Judaism. People don't realize it, like how you present yourself, your morals, your values, who you connect with. Super big part of Judaism. So I got to ask you, as a proud Jew, how do your Jewish values influence who you are as a leader?
Wow, what a question. So, being Jewish, or maybe being religious, or or believing in some faith or something, usually comes with values. Every faith has its own values, and by the way, some of them are similar in many ways. And you can take values to the religion, you can take it to the tradition and to your home. And, I didn't grow up in a religious family, but obviously we did all the holidays, and, I'm proud to be Jewish. So I think one of the most important thing would be the support and, help one another. It's like you're my brother, even though I don't know you. And interestingly enough, it's not just I was always a helper and I help people and I always wanted, to support people. Maybe at the beginning when I was younger, it was even a bit to the pleasing side, but then I learned I always did it wholeheartedly, but then I also learned, how to do it wholeheartedly and authentically and not from a pleasing place. But interestingly enough, as I grew up, and some of my story is that I moved by myself to Sydney, Australia, and within a month got a radio show, and within 3 months got to work for the biggest corporate, and years later I moved by myself to New York, and within 3 weeks I got to work for the PR company. And meeting Jewish people all around the world has always been this notion and value of help and support was always reflecting back to me. For example, when I moved to New York, I was amazed. Like every second last name I see is a Jewish last name. I was like, is there anybody else here? But having said that, people were so supportive.
Mm-hmm.
And I think being there for one another, even you don't know them, and even if they're not Jewish, but of course, if they are, is one of the biggest values I take from Judaism to my life, and I also try to teach others.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a phenomenal answer. And you actually stole, it was funny because like my next like question for you was going to talk about traveling to Australia. I think your point about like Judaism kind of being a religion where we help other people connect. It's such an important
We
part
bring
of our
strangers
values.
to Shabbat dinner, so
It is unheard of. Like I feel like this podcast honestly is a testament of this idea of you are Jewish, right? And
Mhm.
and we're 0.2% of the population. Like we just want to help each other out. At the end of the day, we really just want to help each other out. And I mean I'm very grateful for all the
Mhm.
guests that I've met. And I'm sure through travel for you, right? So I think one thing, maybe one misconception about travel in Judaism is that like we think of Judaism only in kind of maybe two locations, right? We think of it as in Israel and New York, right? And we kind of forget about the Jewish people in the diaspora. But it's funny
Mhm.
because Jewish people for their entire history have been in the diaspora, right? We talk about my family being from Syria and Lebanon and the Eastern European Jews and the Spanish Jews. So like there's Jews in the diaspora. I guess
Mhm.
a question for you as a Jew and somebody that's connected with Jews in the diaspora, do you treat your relationships with Jews in different locations differently, or are they for the most part same throughout your connection list?
That's a really interesting question. So on the one hand, it took me many years, like now I already know, but it took me many years when I was younger to differentiate between Israelis and Jews. Because Israelis are Jewish Israelis, but then Jewish from Australia are not Jewish from Berlin or Jewish people from the US. So let's put it in place. So I mean the connector is of course believing in the same faith, having the same history and legacy, and the will for a better future, and I think that's very strong. Now I do travel, and I spend a lot of time in Vienna and in Berlin and in Madrid and New York and Australia and Sydney and so on, and I do feel that my connections with Jewish people in different countries is close and is different, for example, from my connection with my non-Jewish friend. It doesn't mean it's less deep or it's less strong, and some of my best friends are non-Jewish, and I'm sure it's okay.
Yeah.
With a lot of people who are listening here, it's not about being Jewish or not, but I think there is some kind of like this. You don't need really to say it; you just feel it. You feel like you're a part of a family. You feel like this is your brother, and it feels more comforting because they also understand the struggle, especially in this day and age.
I honestly, I think it is, you're right. It is such a challenge
Yeah.
to come forward and say that you're Jewish, that you're Israeli now because people don't like us. It's like it's
And I'm
very simple.
proud of it.
And
But hey, be
we're
smart.
exactly. That's my so I talk a lot about Jewish pride on this podcast, but you're right. There's an element of it where you have to be very, very smart and almost methodical about who you tell you are Jewish to, because you really don't know what can happen from it.
If I may add something about a brand, because the brand or our first impression, it's determined so quickly. And
Yeah.
I'm really privileged to go to work with amazing startups and entrepreneurs from Germany and from Spain and from different places around the world. And I because I say, okay, well, what's more important when I'm invited to speak to them? I'm invited to speak because of my profession, because of my knowledge. The fact that I'm an Israeli or Jewish doesn't matter, and sometimes they don't even ask, and I don't even say.
Right.
So with that in mind, many times when I introduce myself, I start by introducing what matters to them and what do they want to know. They want to know I'm professional. They want to know I worked with companies like theirs. They want to know I walked the right path to be able to give them the most relevant information. So I start with the fact many times that I work with Fortune 500 companies and I help startups to get into the US market, and I bring startups to the US media. And through that, I help the startup to get invested by Gary Vaynerchuk, or I brought someone to work at Nielsen. So, I mean, I start with what matters to them. And I think that's also a big mistake many times when people come to introduce themselves. Know who is in front of you and what matters to them most. Sometimes the fact that you're an Israeli and Jewish would open the best door because they're like, they love you, and something that's exactly what you need to say. But sometimes you better say another thing. And then when they like you and trust you, I usually say, I mean, that's fine. But I make sure that the first impression would be what I want them to learn about me. That will create a good foundation for how they perceive me as a professional who is about to share information with them.
Right. That's such a good point you bring up, because presenting yourself in a way that's intended for your audience. And what I mean by that is, like, don't make stuff up about yourself, right? Like if you're not Israeli and you're talking to a group of Israeli VC investors, don't say that you're Israeli, like just to please them. Like, but there is an element of, I think maybe the word would be like finesse in a way, because you're trying to put your brand out, right? Like you have a brand, there's different parts of your brand, but when you're trying to promote your brand to different people, there are certain elements of a brand that more people like than others. I think that's a great example with some of my podcast guests, where some of my guests are more religious and they like the fact that, for example, I grew up modern Orthodox, right? So I talk about that story. I feel like for you, the fact that like I kind of put a personal brand twist on this podcast, I tried to like push that towards you when I initially reached out to you. So I think you definitely need that kind of finesse in a way. And one thing I want to go back to really quickly is the idea that you love travel. It's funny. I was actually listening to the Super Connectors Playbook, the audio version, while I was traveling. There we go. She's got the book already.
The new bestseller.
new bestseller. I'm going to plug the book because I think this is actually the first time that I've had a guest come on and I've read their book beforehand or listened to their audiobook beforehand. I want to say, we're going to get into the book later, but I want to say, phenomenal book. I was sitting listening to this book while I was traveling, and it just so happened that my train got delayed significantly. Like I had to stay overnight somewhere. It was a disaster. And the entire time you're talking about how you love to travel. So I was sitting there struggling with my travel. Lirone's talking about, oh, traveling's great. You get to meet new people. I'm just like, how? Like, why is this happening right now? So as somebody that just had a recent struggle with travel while listening to your book, like, what is it about travel that you really, really love?
Okay, let's go to the psychological aspect of it. Okay, it all starts in our childhood, right? So my father is a retired airline pilot, and I had the privilege from a very young age to learn a lot about the world and travel the world. And I got the travel bug because of him, so you can blame him. But there is more to it, of course, because I'm a people person and because I'm very curious, and many of us are in different levels. Traveling the world is the best education you can ask for yourself. You meet different people. You need to handle different circumstances. You just said you got stuck there. You probably had to find a place to stay the night. Maybe it was a different city. Maybe it was even a different language. Maybe, I don't know, you were alone. Like, you really need to bring different strengths and abilities that you would not need to use if you were in your, nice, cozy home. So you get out of
Right.
your comfort zone, and traveling the world really, really introduced me to different people and different ways of behavior. And as I said, like at a very young age, at the age of 22, I moved by myself to Australia, and I lived there for about 3 years. And I learned so much from the Australian. Many of my traits today, if it's my the way I treat people or my manners even, would be things I learned from Australians, maybe you're surprised or not. And now that I'm spending a lot of time in Germany, I really get to value the way they're being structured and how they, their pace and their culture, and even the fact that they, party so hard and being very harsh at work. And when I'm in Asia, the fact that they're so, modest. And even I see about myself how, like, being an Israeli, we're a bit more loud, I would say.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
in Europe, I see how I tone myself down a bit, not because I'm someone else, because I want to respect them. So I love to see I love to learn how different people are, and also see what I can learn about myself through this. And being a worldly person really enables you to connect with almost anyone, an introverted, an extroverted, an 80-year-old, a rich person, a poor person. It really, really makes your life richer by all means.
I had the opportunity, I was gonna say, like, I had the opportunity to travel to Europe after I
Mhm.
graduated college. And I think kind of to that point about there's an element of not only it teaches you to like get out of your comfort zone and like you're put in situations where you just have to kind of like make do for yourself, right? Like the whole thing with the train with me. If you're young like me and you're in your 20s, finding a hostel in Europe, all this stuff. But then I think you're right. Like it's so important to understand different mannerisms, different how people present themselves, right? Like it's you look at an American and you look at an Israeli and they're two different people, right? Like you said, you were having a tough time differentiating between Israeli Jews and Jews outside of Israel. Like they're different, they're really different people. So it's interesting because in order to like really understand people and why somebody chooses to have a brand in this space or that space, I think it comes from kind of that value, and you kind of get to see through travel all the different
Yeah.
values and personal brands.
And also about respecting the difference. One of the most amazing sentence I remember from my anthropology class that I took way back
Yeah.
was that basically they said that anthropology, or let's say for the matter, meeting new people, is about making the unfamiliar familiar and the familiar unfamiliar. When you're able to try, it's not easy to appreciate someone else's way of behavior or the way they view the world, even if it contradicts yours. If you try to understand where it comes from, I mean, it connects you. It makes you more, at least you can relate to them more. You don't have to judge them. And I think that's so important. Again, even within the US, there's so many different, subcultures, I would say.
Yep. Yep.
And so you don't have to travel far. Even you can go to Mexico or, any other place. So I think it's a gift that we give ourselves to really become better communicators, and being more with compassion to other people, to other people's brands or way of introducing themselves. And also hopefully when we are open to them, they might be open to see us in the same respectful manner.
So Lirone, we've talked about this idea of personal branding a few times already, but I feel like we haven't even, like, we're 20 minutes in, we haven't even really gotten into personal branding. So my first question to you about personal branding is, when did you first realize that you had a personal brand?
Wow, that's a great question. When did I first realize? I think it's when you realize that you have an impact on others. And one of the best ways to realize that you have an impact on others, it's coming back to the giving or complimenting. When I was at high school, I had a lot of friends, yet I didn't really appreciate the value that I bring to any gathering. And when I discovered that, hey, I have ways to help people. It could be giving them a compliment. It could be, sharing some information with them, connecting people to one another. It kind of validated me in my own eyes. And I realized that my brand is basically the value I bring to people and the value that they know that I will consistently give, like the promise I will give them. So when people come to me today, they know that they will get mostly an open ear and someone who is happy to to support them or connect them. Someone who has knowledge about this and that. So I mean, what is the promise? And I want to ask our viewers and listeners, what is this consistent promise that you give to the world that people around you know that they're going to get when they communicate with you? So that would be, again, some of the keywords, even if you may, that are associated with you. And that when we realize that, we start realizing our brand value and what we bring to the world. And we bring so much. Sometimes we just don't even see. And I will also say that many times, even in our workshop that we did, I always say that this is kind of an invitation to put a spotlight on ourselves and ask ourselves questions that we never ask ourselves, like, what is our brand? What the values that we bring to other people? Do they see us in the way we want them to see us? What are my strengths, and do I even use them and bring them? Sometimes I remember I was at this workshop and someone says, my two strengths, that I have a really good sense of humor and that I'm assertive. Now I looked at him and I told him, look, I can see you have such a great sense of humor, but I'm not sure you're assertive. What do you think about your assertiveness? Does it come out? And he says, you know what? I need to work about it. So sometimes we just need to ask the right questions to make sure that we fully, or as much as we can, bring our assets, our brand assets, who we are, to our professional and personal environment.
I love that answer, because I think it's easy to get lost in that. What do people, kind of going back to what we were saying earlier, it's easy to say that we are something, like we are assertive, but then not be assertive. And it's easy to say that because people will be like, oh, whatever. Like, okay, I believe this person's assertive. It's kind of like, what's it called? It's misrepresenting ourselves and who we truly are. So I think there's definitely an element of that to our personal brands and the value piece. I think people really miss that. You have a gift, right? We're all different, right? If we were all the same, we'd all be doing the same things and there'd be no disagreements. We're all unique in our own ways. And I think it's hard. It's really, really, really hard to get to know who you are, because I think a lot of the times we're kind of focused on how do we please other people? And we're not really focused on, like, what am I good at? And recently, I know you talk a lot about AI in the book, but recently I started to put in prompts into ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT about who I am. And it is, Lirone, I'm telling you, it is one of the best exercises that I've done. Actually, the guest before this that I had on the podcast was talking about how AI is taking over our thinking. And I said, hold on a second. If you let AI take over your thinking, you can, and like you could have it write mindless emails for you. But if you know how to prompt AI, you can really get to understand yourself on a very, very, very deep level. And I think it's such an amazing thing where we have this, I call it a second brain almost. We have this second brain that we could utilize to really ask questions about ourselves. So I guess I know you personally talk a lot about these exercises with AI, like use AI to look yourself up or go Google yourself, whatever it is. But what is the best like AI exercise that you've done for your personal brand?
So I think that's a really, really good point. First of all, the AI could be a really good co-pilot,
Yes.
and someone who, once it gets to know us, it can really give us really good insights. Yet again, I would still leave room for independent thinking.
Yes.
And also when it comes to posting and social media, I also use it, but I I make sure I'm writing the final draft. I make sure my specific words and my specific persona is in there, the way I say things. So as you say, we don't want to make sure that our brain is, is dissolving because we're
Right.
trusting it so much. Having said that, I couldn't agree more about the prompt that you mentioned. As way back we used to say that I think Anthony Robbins says it a lot, is the quality of our questions determine the quality of our answers. Same here, the quality of our prompts determine the quality of the answer that we will get and how much we can learn. So in terms of prompting, I ask all kind of things. I ask about myself. I put, let's say, my last post on social media, and I ask them to share with me. So what are the messages you see? I do it for myself and for my clients. What is my character? What are my strengths? What are my values? What can you learn about me through my recent, let's say, 10 posts? And that's really important thing to see, so you can match it to understand if your post really share the messages that you want to share. That's for once.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely ask it about myself. For example, right now I'm in this yet again phase of my life when I'm into increasing my standards. Mm-hmm. And I asked them, okay, so I want to increase my standards in my morning routine and, in my, I don't know, whatever I do in my work and so on. And I just really kind of communicate with it. What do you think I should do? What do you think I should watch out from? And usually my issue is managing my energy. So really, without saying, it knows how to say, you need to make sure that you have some time to rest. So I definitely encourage you guys to, first of all, Google yourself and see what comes out. That's generally speaking, to see what other people see about you, but also use it in comparison to other people or information that you can, understand where you are in relation to it. Like, again, your posts, and really try to use it as an enhancement, as a personal and professional development tool. If you ask the question of how can I become better? How can I raise my standards? How can I build a better brand? And the brand is not only online, is even when we talk to one another. What are some kind of messages or little stories or even words that I can share more when I speak to other people that would make them see me the way I want them to see me? And one last thing, when it comes to building a brand, I really want people to be themselves. The idea is that we can design how other people see us authentically. So I want you to understand who you are and as much as you can, and try to design your communication, online, offline, written, to really reflect the abundance that you have as a human being, with all your experience, with all your wishes and ambitions and good things that you bring.
Lirone, now let's talk about the book for a second, because I think we're starting to get more and more into the book. Super Connectors Playbook. Again, amazing book. I listened to it. It was phenomenal. There were so many things in there that I was like absolutely wowed by. But I think my favorite takeaway was, and I was like listening to the book, and like I stopped. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to ask Lirone about this question. You talked about, I don't know, maybe if it was like a psychological experiment or something, but you talk about this idea that men in general want larger networks and women want smaller networks. So I guess from a personal branding perspective, what are the implications of that? Or as a male, should I be trying to cater to the largest common denominator, and then you as a female try and cater to the smallest common denominator? I don't know. Like what are the personal branding implications of this psychological fact?
That's a very interesting question. And let me also explain. There are different research that back that up. And the best way to explain it is by the VCP model that was created by Dr. Ivan Meisner, the founder of BNI, an amazing person. I had the honor of interviewing as well. He said that basically there are it's like a three-way model. So VCPV is visibility. C is connectivity or credibility, and P is profitability. Meaning, he said that men and women are basically using it in a different way. Men usually start with visibility, meaning being there, saying, hi, nice to meet you, introducing themselves, have a short, small chit-chat, and then they will jump straight into the profitability. Okay, brother, what can we do together? Can you connect me to this and that? Do this to that? Hey, man. No, like small talk, no, nothing. generally speaking, again, of course.
Right.
Women, on the other hand, would work on the visibility. Hi, nice to meet you, and this and that. And then they will work on the connectivity and credibility. They will be there. They will help you. They will support you. They will introduce you to their brother and will give you whatever you need. But they will feel uncomfortable to ask and to make the profitability part come to life. And I mean, that's again, that's research. It's a gender thing. However, some people can be different. It's not, it's really, really generalizing, but obviously, has a good foundation. Now, when it comes to branding, I think it's really about how would you like to brand yourself? Because if we're taking the cold men kind of explanation, it sounds like very, like I'm trying to use someone. Hey,
Yeah.
nice to meet you, David. Now give me this, help me with that. And I wouldn't want to be branded as someone who's trying to use someone. No man would like to be, but some people are, because they don't have the awareness of, do they build a relationship, and why the C is so important. Because the C, basically, we want to help people that we know. We want to help people that we love. We want to help people that we have some connection with. You might help people you don't know, like inviting strangers for Shabbat, but you would prefer helping people and not have it like a one-off. And on the other hand, women are, based on this model, are really good at building a brand of someone who's caring. They really care. They really want to be there. They want to build a relationship with you. It's not a one-off. We want to be there for you. So essentially, it would be so easy for them to get results because they already built a relationship for so long, but they don't get the results. So in terms of their brand, they would be like, someone that you love and enjoying being with, but they never ask for something. Sorry, they never ask for something. And that's also bring us to this notion of give and take, the givers, the takers. Some people, we all need to learn how to ask. Whether if you're a man, you need to know how to ask and make sure you build a relationship and make the person feel comfortable. Or if you're a woman, you need to know how to get out of your comfort zone and ask. And I have to say that even for me, it was really, really hard to ask for many years. Then I realized that, first of all, there are different ways to ask. And and doors that you never knocked on will not open up for you. So, asking is the way that we make things happen, is how we grow, is how we evolve, and how we can help others. So I hope this gives you some kind of, of like a picture of this type of model. And men and women, again, you can be a man that is uncomfortable to do the P, and a woman that, is jumping straight to the business. So I want you, our listeners and viewers, to think where you think you are within this model, and where can you push yourself or improve yourself, even in 5%.
Right. I think it's so important that the going back to like the how to ask a question. I think it's one of the most important skills that maybe it is the most important skill, because I think just from this podcast, I know that like there have been times where I've asked bad questions and like I've gotten bad results, but then also kind of outside of just like talking about on the podcast, it's like, I know that if I don't ask someone to be on my podcast, chances are they're not going to be on my podcast, right? And I think people are so scared of the word no. It's so scary to them. It's like, if somebody says no to you, it's like, oh my goodness, like they don't like me. Like, no, the word no is just, I think of it as just like, okay, like you move on from the opportunity and like you just have to do something else. But I think it teaches you a lot of like having the courage to ask somebody for something outside your comfort zone. Like that, like, I don't know, it scares me. And I have to do it almost every single day. And for somebody like you that's connected with like millions of people, is it still scary for you to ask somebody for something?
I love this question. So the short answer would be, I don't know if scary, but yeah, I get uncomfortable. And when I get uncomfortable, an experience told me to usually, in some cases, be open about it and share and be authentic about, hey, I'm uncomfortable to ask, or if it's okay, I would like to ask XYZ. But I really, really see that the fear element is so, so crucial when it comes to building our brand, to posting a post about ourselves, to sharing what we think, to connecting with other people. And many, many times, and all of chapter 2 for the matter is really about overcoming our fear and understanding that connecting with people and putting ourselves and our values and our great things out there is actually human, and our body and our society is actually wired towards it. And because, if I'm going to tell you now, David, go across the road, you see this person, go and say, hi, good morning, I am David, what's your name? Technically, it wouldn't be a problem for you, but the problem would be the fear. Wait, he doesn't know me. Maybe he will, maybe he will curse me, or maybe he will ignore me. So usually these are the fears that we should be aware of. Same as, again, posting something about ourselves. Oh my God, what people are going to say. To be honest, people care more about themselves than about you. So if you post something that gives them value, then it's a win-win. You shared something from your experience that can help someone else and change their day or even their life or circumstances. And, and let me tell you another story about the element of fear. So many years ago, it's not in the book, but in 2014, I think, or 15, I approached Arianna Huffington, the big businesswoman. I adore this woman. And back then she was the owner of the Huffington Post, a really, really big magazine. And someone told me, you know something, if you want to write for her magazine, you should just write her an email. And I was like, seriously, is it that easy? And they said, yes, here's the email. Just email her. So I think it was February 8th, and I emailed her and say, hi, Arianna, my name is Lirone. I'm an expert on business relationship and personal branding. It would be my honor to write for the Huffington Post. Here is an article. A short message. Less than a day, on the 9th of February, I have the picture somewhere as well. I got a message back from her, CCing her assistants. Dear Lirone, I'm so happy to hear from you. We would love to share your voice on the Huffington Post. Here is my assistant, Zoe. Come on, let's say you just connect with her to open your own, platform, contributor platform. Now, I was thrilled and I was so excited that it took me 4 months to write the damn first article.
Oh my goodness.
I had writer's block. I'm like, oh my God, I got what I wanted, but am I really capable of doing it? And then if you Google me and you Google Huffington Post, and if you Google entrepreneur.com, you see that things that I wrote pretty much good amount of articles. But I want to emphasize the story because sometimes we're afraid even if we pass the first barrier. So please find a way, consult with someone, understand that, hey, it's really the world want to hear what you have to say. So understand that you'll have a lot of fears along the way, and they shouldn't be the thing that takes away your fulfillment or sharing what's important for you or living the life you want or getting the job you want.
Yes. Wow. Lirone, this is so good. These stories that you're giving me are so good. And they're just like very inspiring and also just so interesting. Like you talk about reaching out to the head of the Huffington Post. Like, are you crazy? Like but the thing is that like, it sounds so crazy to do that. But like when you do it, it's like we're at the end of the day, like we're all people, right? Like we're all humans. We all connect with each other.
Exactly.
So it's like it's not really that crazy to like think about it. Like people have so much fear, right? Like we have fears of not only reaching out to people and cold messaging people, but also another thing that you talk about in the book is setting goals for yourself. I think people are so scared of setting a goal for themselves. And to be honest with you, I only started doing this maybe at the beginning of this year, where I really like, people are like, oh, whatever, I have these goals, right? Like one of my goals is I want to start my own business. Like that's my goal, right? And that was my goal for the longest time, but it's like, it wasn't written down. So like, is that really a true goal? Like I was always scared to like write it down, because then that would mean that something is actually going to happen, or like something it's actually I'm working towards. So why are people so scared of setting goals for themselves?
That's a great question. Well, different research shows, and especially one from the US, from, if I'm not wrong, the Public Speaking Association, that most of the people have 90% of people have some kind of social anxiety. It could be speaking to one person. It could be talking to someone who's I find is an authoritative person, maybe talking to 20 people, in a boardroom, or again, of course, standing on stages. So, and when I found this research, it made me feel so good, because it just normalized the fact that we all have some fears, even Ariana Huffington, or even the biggest managers. And the thing is to, first of all, acknowledge them. Second of all, really understand that life will always give us, it's like stairs. They give us the next step or the next floor, and we will need to stabilize ourselves and overcome this challenge. And then another challenge will come, and we need to understand, okay, now I have another level of fear that I haven't had before. How do I overcome this one? And what I see for myself and also for others, many times the fear of success can really paralyze you more of the fear of failure, because it's easy to fail. You just don't do nothing and you'll fail. But oh my God, what if I succeed? What if my book will reach 1 million people? And what if I will be invited to speak around the world? And hey, today I do it. Like this, I have to say something, and I'm saying it from the most inspiring place. I wish for other people. In many ways, I live my dream today. Like I dreamt of living a life where one day I speak in Berlin, the other one I'm invited to Bangkok, and then I'm coming to my US tour in January. However, it's not easy. There is so much work, and there are so much failures along the way, and I don't succeed in everything I do. And even the best person, always have those little failures. But when you understand, and hey, I need to understand that there is a sentence that says, if you don't fear it, then it's too easy for you. Go for the big goals. Make sure to surround yourself with the right people, and make sure also to update your brand and your values, because again, my values and brand today are slightly upgraded since I became a best-selling author, because I decided that now my brand has changed. I decided now my impact is bigger, and I want to make it even bigger. Then what do I need to change in my messages now to be able to reach more people and make sure that they will reach their goals through my knowledge? So I want you to take my examples to your life. Whether you want to find a new job, how would you present yourself now in your upcoming interviews in a way that will upgrade who you were in your last job? If you want to create a company, you don't have to know everything. Maybe you just want to harness the best professionals to become your advisors, mentors, board members. And all you need to do is make sure to, through your brand and abilities, harness them to be by your side and support you. I mean, it's a lot about the story we decide about ourselves. As I said, we want to design our brand to be congruent with who we are today and tomorrow, and in a month from now, maybe we'd need to adjust it a bit.
Wow, Lirone, I think that was one of the best and maybe most important pieces of advice that I've heard on the podcast. Is people are so scared of success. Like, we really don't think about it, but like, being successful is scary. Like, when you're not successful, right? Like the fear of failure, right? It is present, it is big, but people don't want to succeed because they worry about, okay, what happens if I succeed? Oh no, I'm gonna have all these other problems and whatever. It's like
People will hate me. I'll have too much money.
Yeah,
I'll lose it.
It's like actually crazy to think about. Like, that thought never even crossed my mind until now. Like, people are scared of success. It's just like, it's crazy to me. It really is. Lirone, so before we actually wrap up here, I want to ask you one final question about your personal brand. I know we talked a lot about personal branding in general, the book, being Jewish, goals, everything, literally everything in personal branding, networking. But I guess for you, like, what's the biggest mistake that you've made with your personal brand?
Love this question. Once again, the biggest mistake would be not to be true to my brand, is trying to be maybe someone else, trying to please people, saying things I don't believe in. And again, sometimes it's better to say nothing than say something you don't believe
Right.
in. I learned, and life brings us those, I would say, challenges over and over again to really read the room or read the situation or read the people and understand, do they make me feel, or do I feel right? Do I feel like I need to oversell myself, or do I feel, that it's I need to be someone else so they would want to work with me or like me? And again, there is a level of flexibility, but not on the price of losing who you are, losing what's important for you. It's like working for a cigarette company. Maybe that would be the easiest example. It's working for a company that just doesn't do good to the world. Is it a part of my values? No. But maybe working for someone who's, I don't like his attitude, and I can see from the get-go that he will, maybe the culture is not good, or on the other hand, the culture is amazing and I want to be a part of it. So sometimes people get it very quickly. Sometimes it's like everything we just shared here is about awareness, trying to be more aware and intentional about how you bring yourself to different situations. And many times we don't have the exact understanding of wasn't right for me, but we do have some kind of uncomfortable feeling inside. And if you just came out of a meeting and you have this uncomfortable feeling, try to ask yourself questions and why. What did I say? What did they say? Try to kind of redo the circumstances or the meeting in your mind to be more true to yourself. And again, if I need the money and I have to work right now, then I'll do what it takes, as long as it, doesn't, again, harm me. And if, so you need to make sure, when I wasn't true to myself, this was when things never worked. And when I wasn't comfortable being there or doing the job or being with those people.
Mm. Guys, case in point right here, even the personal branding expert makes mistakes with her personal brand. Lirone, I'm not going to lie, I had very high expectations for this interview and they've been absolutely exceeded. Like, I've learned, listen, like I heard you speak in Ellie and I was like, wow, she's amazing. Listen to the book. Wow, she's amazing. And now I got to interview you. And still just like the value that I got from you that I'm going to apply in the future is absolutely astronomical. So thank you.
So happy. Thank you so much, David, for having me here. It's really been my pleasure to share this with you and with your viewers and listeners. And keep being amazing and doing this amazing podcast and really, really helping people building their brand and being proud of their Judaism and who they are. I think it's such a great blessing to the world. So thank you so much as well.
Thank you, Lirone. That means a lot to me. Where can people find the book and where can people find you on social media?
So the book is on Amazon, the Super Connectors Playbook, on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It's almost everywhere. Just Google it. I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram primarily. And you can even try to approach me. I'll usually answer.
Unless you're me.
Happy to connect with you guys.
Awesome. Well, Lirone, thank you.
And of course, my website. Sorry, lironeglikman.com.
Oh, and lironeglikman.com. So make sure you go get the book. If you want to win in whatever you're doing, like personal branding is the separator, and how you connect with people is absolutely the separator. As somebody that's been in this space for a year and a half now, I think it was so valuable for me to like sit down and listen to the book. So go get the book, whether you want audio or read it in person, go get it. Follow Lirone on the socials. Also, make sure you share this episode with someone. I know this has been a very personal branding heavy episode. I said this at the beginning. There were things in this episode that were shared here about personal branding that I've not talked about before. So if you're a good person, go share this episode with someone, because I think they would greatly appreciate it. Personal branding, we all have a personal brand. It's just a matter of like what you want to do with it. So it's your choice if you want to elevate your personal brand or not. That's up to you. I'm just giving you a little quick advice here. Go share this episode with somebody. So thank you again, Lirone. Share this episode. Go get the book. Follow Lirone. Until next time, keep schmoozing.